All right, welcome to my Haves and the Have-Nots review for this week. The episode was on last night. So let's get into it. So we pick up where we left off last week. This is with Jim doing his interview to on that morning show to announce his run for governor. Now, Celine has been brought on via satellite. She's with her two sons, and she's like, "Well, I really don't want to do this," and she lets Carlos do most of the talking, and he said, well, he let his children live in squalor for years, and I'm too old to want a father. I don't really want to get to know him. Just really that's all Carlos had to say. And the anchor of the morning show, she's saying, well, we we uh we did a DNA test to confirm this, and it was positive. Sorry, technical difficulty there. We did a DNA test to confirm that it was positive. So they have all the confirmation they need. Jim couldn't question it, so he just sits there very quiet. And Celine gave them a sample of Jim's DNA. So she just threw him all the way under the bus now. Um, let's see what else. And so Maggie is telling them, cut this off, cut this off. The producer doesn't want to do it. He says, this is live television. We can't do that. We're live. And finally, she just pulls the plug, and the producer, you know how much money this is going to cost us? You just cost a broadcast station to go dark. And Maggie's like, I don't care. I don't care. And then the host is all like, well, I did what I did for good journalism. And Maggie's like, this isn't journalism, it's tabloid television. And Maggie was right about that. That was just tabloid stuff right there, not journalism. So, um, and Catherine, she's trying to be angry. She didn't know about these kids, it appears, but she's trying to be angry, but you can tell she just doesn't have the strength to be angry anymore because has done so much, and it's like, why even bother to get mad? And so, okay, so after they throw the TV crew out, Veronica has to get her pot shots in. She's trying to get into it with David and Maggie, and she throws it out there that she caught them in a hotel room, and David keeps saying nothing happened, nothing happened, and Veronica doesn't want to believe it, and I don't know why he even bothers with her. And Catherine, she's like shocked that this was even going on, but she's even more, she's even more shocked when she finds out. Or no, Catherine didn't really find out about Wyatt, but Veronica, she goes after Jim. She's like, you ruined this for all of us after all we did to make this happen. And then she goes, how was Wyatt stay? And Jim looks at her like, what did you say? And she says, how was Wyatt stay? And and he looks at her like, you did that. You made that happen. And then she's saying all this smart stuff. I think she said something. He had to learn a lesson. He had to learn a lesson. And Jim loses it, and he just gets his hands around Veronica's throat and starts choking. And I said Veronica's had that coming for a long time. I mean, Jim probably shouldn't have laid his hands on her, but I mean, if you find out that somebody had your child raped, I mean, I don't think you're really going to have a great response to that. I mean, it's probably going to solicit a violent reaction. So, and David's like, he gets him off her, and he's like, don't you ever put your hands on my wife. And I'm like, David, come on. She had his son raped. I mean, can you really blame him for, reacting like that? And David, he wants to act like, There's something there to be saved, but she doesn't. She served him with divorce papers. She doesn't want anything to do with him. She tried to kill him. She sent a thug after their son. Just all this horrible stuff, and he still doesn't want to let her go. So, but I think he's gonna have to let her go eventually, or we'll get to that later. So, where do we go from here? Let's just talk about Candace. So Candace, she's trying to get things together so she can bring her son home, and the child welfare worker is at the house, and she's looking around, checking things out, and she reveals to Candace that they tried to verify Candace's job, but the law firm didn't know anything about her. Candace is stuck. She doesn't know what to do. She's like, well, I have a job. I just haven't started yet. Well, that leads child welfare to ask her, well, how are you paying for all this stuff? And she it's just like a loss for her. So Oscar steps in and saying, well, I love this woman. I think that's what he said. And I take care of her. And he does a direct transfer into Candace's account right then and there. And that's enough to satisfy child welfare. And she also asked Candace if she's an escort, and Candace tried to get somewhat indignant. And she's like, I'm not really judging you. I just want to make sure that this environment is safe for your son. And Candace is trusting Oscar way too much. He feels way too helpful, and there's some trouble on the horizon there. Candace is going to be sorry that she did that, so that she trusted Oscar. I can guarantee that. And I want to make sure I cover everything. Let me just skip to Hannah and Benny. Benny shows Hannah his new tow yard, and she's looking around real suspect. You know how Hannah is. There always has to be something wrong with something. She's looking around trying to find something wrong with this. It couldn't possibly be legit. But Benny tells her that I got an investor and or a partner, and they're just letting me run this and all of that. So he kind of convinces her that that's the truth, and I think she just went on and believed it because she wants to trust Benny, and she believes that she can trust him. But he's lying quite a bit. He takes her to the house that Candace bought him. He says that the guy that sold the tow yard just sold him the house because his wife had died and he didn't want to keep the house, and he just gave it to him, and then he's going to pay it off over time while working at the tow yard. Now Hannah's skeptical about the house, and she's like, this doesn't make any sense. And she said, I'm not moving in this house. And Benny doesn't want to leave her in the hood, but Hannah's not moving from her house. And she says, I'll stay here for one night. And he says, okay, well, he says, okay, well, and wait, how did it go? Yeah, he asked her to make him dinner, and he says there's food in this house. And later on, after they've had dinner, Hannah lets it out that Candace did not have a job. That child welfare told her that they didn't that the law firm didn't know anything about Candace. Benny immediately looks like he's been hoodwinked, and he should have known that his sister was doing something, because Candace is just, she is, she's a hustler, and Benny really wanted to believe that she had gone legit, but now he seems to know that that was not the case. On to Quincy and his sister Quita. I swear Quita is the definition of hood rat. That is not an overstatement. I'm really not. I'm not kidding. She's all, well, you need to get that boy back. You need to get him back, because you know if I don't get him back, my check will go down. And I'm like, really? You're trying to get that boy so you can keep your check? Your government check. You're trying to get that boy, so you need your government check up. And Quincy's not really saying anything. She's doing all the talking. He's just going like, yeah, yeah, I know. I'm gonna get him. I'm gonna get him. She's talking about you need to get Bennett too. You need to get him. And so the police come to the door and they're looking for Quincy, and she's like, I don't know where he's at. He's in jail. Um, of course he's right there in the place, but she doesn't. She tells the police, you can't come in here without a warrant. And once the police leave, she's back to telling Quincy he needs to get the boy back and saying, you need to do it. Take no prisoners like we used to do. So apparently both of them were in the streets committing crime. So brother sister tag team committing crime. They're both crazy. Um, so then we get to Jeffrey, and Wyatt's laying up in the bed sleep with no shirt on, and Jeffrey is staring. Jeffrey's too thirsty. I, I can't even. With Jeffrey, he just is so. He's wanting somebody he can't have, and somebody that wouldn't really even be good for him if he could have him, because Wyatt is such a mess. Sorry, a little more technical difficulty. Wyatt is such a mess, so I don't know why he would want to be with Wyatt. Okay, but he does want him. Okay, so Wyatt, a landing comes to the door, and he's got a bottle of wine. He wants to come in, and Jeffrey, of course, isn't going to let him in. Landon wants to start something up with Jeffrey. He says, I'm not really the type to just sleep with somebody just not and just kind of let it go. And Jeffrey's all, I don't like you. I don't like you. And Landon is all, because you're in love with Wyatt, and Jeffrey's all like, no, no. And Landon's, he just drags it out, and he just says, he basically tells him, you are trying to hold out for Wyatt. And Jeffrey seems to have realized the reality of the situation. Wyatt is straight. He's not going to have him. He says, you never know what it's like to be in love with somebody that you cannot have. And I think Jeffrey says he doesn't like Landon, but I think he likes him a little bit, but he's not going to let himself, get involved with him that much, because he still has this dream about Wyatt. So here comes his mother, Veronica, and she thought, you need to go see Melissa. And Wyatt and Landon gets his 2 cents, and he says, I'm just so sick of you. You're just so mean and evil. And Veronica looks at Jeffrey like, you gonna let this girl talk to me that way? Veronica's a mess. But that doesn't deter Landon. He's just giving her all sorts of shade. And she continues to press Jeffrey about seeing Melissa, and she says, well, she's having your child. And Landon looks like, what? And Veronica, her answer says like, well, that's what happened, honey. She's just being so sarcastic. And Jeffrey is sick of the whole mess. He just says, I'm not going to see her. She's going to try to force him to do it. And Jeffrey says, you know what? You can't do anything else to me. You fired me. You cut off my credit cards. You sent a thug to beat me up. You held a car over my head. You threatened me with prison. If you're going to do any of this stuff, just stop threatening me and do it. And so she's still going to press. So Jeffrey just goes full throttle and just grabs Landon and gives him a kiss. And she's like, that shut her down. I mean, that's the tamest face I've seen Veronica make. That's the most defeated face I've seen her make. Usually her expression is very angry or scheming one, but her face was just like shut down. I'm defeated on this one. So I think she might actually realize that she has lost this battle to shape Jeffrey into what she wants him to be. Let me make sure I'm not forgetting anything. I don't think I'm forgetting anything. If I am, forgive me, but so let's get into this final scene. So Jim, he's all angry and quiet for the most part because he knows that his run for governor is over. Um, he hasn't said it yet, but Maggie says it. She says, "Well, I couldn't get a handle on this because I didn't know about it. I found out about it too late. So Jim, you just need to drop out of the race." And Jim is quiet for like a second or so, and then he finally goes, "Okay." Maggie says, "I'll write something for you to say in the morning." And then David's going to try to be all tough. "Well, if you come after my wife, you're going to make a new enemy." And I'm like, "David, shut up. If you can't stand up to your wife for trying to kill you and for sending a criminal to beat up your son, you should keep your mouth shut as far as Jim goes. Because that is not even that is something Veronica made her own bed there. So that's between Veronica and Jim. She sent somebody after his son, and he is going to handle her in his way. So, and David ain't gonna stop him from doing it. Because the minute that David leaves, Jim picks up the phone and he just says, "I need a bloodbath. There's a prison guard, there's a professor, and there's an attorney named Harrington. Veronica Harrington. I want them all dead." He put a hit out on her. And like I said, I'm thinking that this season is going to end excuse me, with a whodunit, with Veronica getting shot and, everybody wondering who did it. Because there are all sorts of potential suspects on the show. I mean, every character is a suspect. Because she's just like tipped off everybody. Nobody likes her really. And Catherine doesn't know what she did to Wyatt yet because Jim didn't detail it. What that fight was about at the beginning, he didn't detail what it was about. But I can guarantee you, if and when Catherine finds out, she's gonna want to kill Veronica because Veronica has the nerve to like smile on her face and act like her friend. "You gotta come see my new house and all this." And I said you had her son raped in the prison, and now you consider yourself this woman's friend. Okay, so it ended with Jim putting out the hit. Next week, we're going to see Quincy going off on the social worker at the hospital. He goes off and chokes her. He's trying to take Q out the house or out of the hospital, and Q is like, little boy's like, "Daddy, stop." And it's just going to be another big mess next week. But this was a very good episode. I mean, I'm glad they didn't drag out Jim finding out the truth that Veronica sent that person in there to do that to Wyatt. And Jim actually thought David was in on it because David was the one that tipped him off that he needs to get Wyatt out of there. But I won't ramble on. I'll wrap this up. But if you like these videos, please rate and comment. And I will see you next week for the haves